It was good. I lacked today, bro. I lacked. It's already 10, bro. This is gonna take like 40 minutes. Oh my god, bro. I was literally planning to be asleep and a bit by now. Anyways, what is behavioral ecology? That's basically just the study of how different behaviors lead to reproductive success or like increased fitness in animals or whatever, right? So what is behavior? So behavior is kind of just like it's like a complicated way of just saying like how you react to a stimulus. Like you get a stimulus and you do a set of or a reaction of things, just under the control of the nervous system. Behavior is essential for finding food, communication. Yeah, it's just yeah. So innate is like you're born with it, and they're influenced by kind of like wait, what does it mean by how are they influence? Okay, damn, I didn't know this. Oh, I have to look over the systems as well. What's behavior innate? So behavior is like a set of well, they give like a whole technical definition, but it's basically just doing something in response to a stimulus. Controlling your or like your brain or your nervous system controlling muscles to do a specific thing or action, and that's kind of behavior. So innate is like from birth, like you're born with it, and they're influenced by natural selection. To increase fitness, and it may require maturity. So what is a reflex? Reflex is like automatic behavior, like it's like automatic, like when you get that stimulus it'll be like you won't even have to think, it'll just do it automatically. So there's simple and complex. So simple is just like one muscle, one neuron, so it's like there's no interneuron involved with the simple. So it's like when you get your knee reflex, like when you hit your knee with the doctor's thing, your like your leg extends, so that's like a simple one because it's just one neuron without an interneuron. Complex is like multiple muscles moving like in a coordinated manner, like burning your hand on a stove. You have to like move your hand quickly, so that'll involve interneurons going to the brain, and all that. So it'll just be more complex, basically. So what are fixed action patterns? Fixed action patterns are basically behaviors that have like a series of things that you need to do. It's like it's not like it's not just one thing. It's like there's like a couple of actions that occur with the action pattern. So you get a stimulus, so science stimulus or releaser, that's what stimulates the fixed action pattern to start. So an example of this that they give is geese or like birds. So when the egg rolls out, they'll like roll it back in, and it'll go to completion always, even if the even if like the egg is removed, it'll keep on doing that without any egg. And yeah, so unlike a reflex, it is like so. How is it different from a reflex? Not exactly sure how it's different. It says like a reflex, it automatically triggered and not learned behavior. So you don't learn this; it's automatically triggered. So I think that like how it is related to like it's like the same thing as a reflex basically, but like multiple actions that you do. So what members? It's just members of the same species will do this. What does imprinting do? Imprinting basically makes like a lasting relationship between like the baby and the mom, like within the first couple of like days or hours of birth, like the close timeline to when the offspring was born. Imprinting will occur during this like sensitive kind of time. Let me see the definition. Bro, they have so many slides just for the animation. So long-term behavioral response is established in response to a specific time period called the sensitive/critical period. So it's like, yeah, you establish a long-lasting behavioral response to a specific individual, object, or location. So it could be object, location, or individual that you're like imprinted to. And yeah, it occurs like during this sensitive or critical period. So the difference between learned behavior and innate. Learned behavior, you simply just learn it. Innate behavior is like you're born with it. It's like you're just born with this like common sense to you from your genes and stuff. What is associative learning? It's basically just kind of associating two different stimuli, and there's 4 types of it. So there's classical conditioning. I'm closing my eyes right now. Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, spatial awareness or something, and then like social or observational. So what is each one? But why isn't this loading? Let me touch you tonight. Whoa. Okay, so there's classical conditioning. So an unconditioned stimulus is basically a stimulus that is it's like a stimulus that triggers an unconditioned response, like the natural version. So it's like when you eat food, right? The unconditioned stimulus is the food. Like the food is going to stimulate you to salivate, and that's like the unconditioned response because it's automatic. It's like natural. So then the difference between an unconditioned and conditioned response is simply just what stimulates that. So an unconditioned response is caused by an unconditioned stimulus, while a conditioned response is caused by a conditioned stimulus. But these two should have the same result. Like salivation, unconditioned response, and conditioned response would be salivation, but what causes it would be different. For an example is like food will cause the unconditioned response, while like maybe a bell will cause the conditioned response. So they're basically the same thing. It's just a matter of what causes it or what stimulates it. Now, operant conditioning, we'll talk about that in the next thing. So what is operant conditioning? What kind of learning? So again, this is associative learning, and this is learning through kind of like what is right and wrong, like reinforcement. Like it's just like reinforcement, like taking away, giving good things. Like it's like a reward. Yeah, so it's basically an outcome that presents a reward following a behavior will increase the likelihood. Yeah, I think it's just with like a reward and punishment system. So, okay, yeah, so what is reward and punishment in technical terms? So, a reward is giving something, a reward is like something positive, kind of like to cause, okay, not necessarily like that. It's like reward slash reinforcement. That's like the same thing. In the table, they use the word reinforcement. So, punishment is to reduce a behavior, reward is to, like, wait, what is it? Reward is to like increase behavior, punishment to reduce behavior. So positive and negative punishment and reinforcement. So there's this like kind of like a matrix kind of. So there's positive punishment, which means you're trying to reduce the behavior, so you increase negative stimulus. So you give negative stimulus, like unpleasant stimulus, to reduce a behavior. Then there's negative punishment, which means you're taking away positive, like taking away good stimulus to reduce the behavior. And the same thing goes for positive and negative reinforcement. So positive reinforcement, you're adding good stimulus, like you're making them feel better with positive things. Then negative, you're taking away a good thing. You're okay, wait, no, reinforcement. So you're adding like happiness, like you're giving pleasant stimulus, and then negative reinforcement is you're removing bad stimulus. What is spatial learning is just associating like a location or something around to like, freaking find something. It's like the example they give is wasp nests. So it's like if the wasp sees that there's like acorns beside or something, then it'll learn that the wasp nest is by those acorns. Observational learning is also called like social learning. It's just watching another individual do something and then just copying it basically. Insight, I believe it's just like when there's like a random thing that happens and then you just realize that there's a benefit to it, so then you just keep on doing it again. So you learn new behaviors without having received prior reinforcement. So it's just like your first time learning kind of. So habituation, spontaneous recovery. So habituate, but it's like psych review. Like I just did this, but habituation is when you like with the repeated stimuli, you just stop reacting that much. So spontaneous recovery is like, so you're gonna go through habituation, right? Like let's say you get used to like honking or something at nighttime. So then you're gonna start not noticing the habitual. You're not gonna start noticing the honking, right? Or okay, wait. Better example is like a clock, right? So you got like this loud clock in your room, and over time you start getting like used to it, so you don't really notice it. But now, say we take that clock away for a bit of time, and you're gonna do your work without the clock, and you're gonna not really notice anything. But when you add that clock again, it'll cause you to notice that stimulus again, and that's kind of what spontaneous recovery is, because it'll like you'll start like redoing, like you'll have that association of that sound being annoying, kind of. So sensitization is kind of the opposite of habituation. So it's like with more kind of stimulus, you're gonna have increased response. So the stimulus doesn't exactly have to be increasing with each time you do it. It's just like it's like poking your sibling, right? You poke them one time, it won't really care, but 2, 3, 4 times as you keep on increasing, they'll start getting more annoyed. And then if you even just slightly poke them, they'll have an increased reaction. So it doesn't have to be greater stimulus every time, but it's just like repeated stimulus. Stimulus generalization is when you kind of generalize similar stimulus to that one stimulus. So it's like, how do I say it? It's like bees, right? If you get stung by a bee one time and you think, or it's like dogs, right? So if a dog bites you, you're gonna be like, damn, this dog is like, dogs are scary, right? So then you're gonna generalize that dog stimulus to all dogs, even though all dogs might not be dangerous. Stimulus discrimination is the opposite. So it's like you're able to discriminate between which dogs are dangerous and which dogs are not. And the example they give is like between different frequency of bells that they use for food. So some may be able to one way discrimination could work. Going back to the dog example, is like you think that all dogs are bad, right? But then you start to notice that some dogs are nice. So then you start to realize that those dogs are nice, and then the other dogs are not nice. So when you see the nice dogs, you're not gonna have fear, basically. So what is an animal communication? It's just a way for animals to, like communicate. Like what else? Communicate like their ideas, like warning signs, providing information, kind of. So yeah. So some examples of an animal communication. There's mating, there's offspring, there's warning, like danger. Yeah, I don't really know. Like communication, care for young offspring, territorial dominance, recognize own species, social behavior, group cohesion, finding mates. So there are 4 types of communication. So let me close my eyes and think about this. So there's chemical, tactile, sound, and I don't know. Oh, visual, bro. That's like easy, right? Okay. So there's 4 types of communication. So there's tactile, visual, auditory, and chemical. So now let's go into each one more deeply. So chemical simply is just freaking releasing chemicals that could send a message. So one main example is the pheromones. So pheromones are just chemical messages released by animals to convey a message. Connect this to systems. The apocrine glands of the human, which are released in the pubic regions or armpits, those are releasing pheromones. Those are more viscous sweat that release onto the hair, and that's kind of the pheromone, as opposed to the pseudoiferous glands, which are also I'm going ahead, but I want to kind of connect this also. Pheromones are released by the apocrine gland, as opposed to the eccrine glands, which release regular sweat, both of which are considered pseudoiferous glands in the skin. Connection. So there's releaser and primer. So releaser is going to have an immediate effect. So an example they give is when ants find food, they're going to release chemical trail of the way they got to the food, so that others can go and get there. Primer is going to have long-lasting effects. An example for this one is like queen bee. It'll cause some of the bees to become reproductively available or something, or it's like I don't really know, but it's just like it'll be long-term effects. Like it takes longer for them to have more like physiological changes. Next up is visual. So courtship rituals are just kind of tradition, like not tradition, but it's like what some species will do to attract mates, like to show that they're ready. And it just helps with, like making sure that each species goes to each species rather than wasting time trying to go for something you can't even breed with, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Visual, how did territoriality come in? Difference of a physical courtship ritual. I think under visual communication, territoriality is one. Limits population density, displays of behavior, courtship rituals. Yeah, increased success of external fertilization. Oh yeah, this also helps with external fertilization because, with fish, they just release their eggs and sperm into the freaking water. So if they release at the wrong times, then there's no chance of reproduction. So that's why you need to have those courtship rituals, so you know that when each sex is ready to do their thing, right? So auditory is just, like echolocation or stuff like that. It's just signal danger, communicate sounds. I don't really know. Tactile is like when you touch, like when a dog licks its puppy. Not sure why. It was like some like stimulate development somehow, but there's like physical touch helps with social relationships such as bonding. Okay, so now going on to kinesis. Kinesis, taxis. So kinesis is random movement, kind of. So it's like you're moving in any direction, so it doesn't matter, but the speed changes depending on where you're at. It's like a change in your speed or rate of movement. So when you're in favorable conditions, you're going to slow down because you want to stay in there. But when you're not in favorable conditions, you're going to want to move fast and try getting to a favorable condition. Example of this is cockroaches. When cockroaches are in the dark, they're not really moving. They're like happy, right? But when they're in the light, they start tweaking. So that's an example. So now taxis is just movement along a gradient. So positive is towards whatever is there, and negative is away from that. Example of this is chemotaxis. This is how I think bacteria move. Positive chemotaxis moves towards the gradient, or negative chemotaxis would be away from the gradient. Migration is the long-term movement based on season to improve reproductive success, or maybe just the weather is not that good. So now going on to dominance hierarchies, what is the benefit to it? So dominance hierarchies are just hierarchies that establish who's in charge and who's not in charge. What is the benefit to this? Well, there's a clear leader, so everyone knows who to follow. There's less energy spent trying to, figure out who the leader is. You just know who the leader is. Like, they might have to fight and everything, but, you won't have to waste time, trying to, it's like you won't, like, you'll still fight, but it's like, who's the leader, right? So, someone to, like, represent you. Territorial behavior, what is it? What benefits and costs? Territorial behavior is basically like when you defend an area for yourself. So, like, I don't know what else to say. So there's some benefits and some costs. So benefits is that, costs, I know it's like energy to protect everything. Increased risk of predation is another one, because you could get maybe more eaten. And like kind of related to energy, like you could risk yourself, like risk injury, like you could mess yourself up. So now some benefits are that you'll have access to resources, you'll have access to mating opportunities, and you'll have your own shelter kind of. So like nothing really too much. It's kind of like buying a house. Like when you buy a house, you have to pay for it, you have to spend energy on maintaining it. There's increased risk of like damage, like property damage. Then the benefits to that is like you have your own house, you have your own like resources in the house and stuff like that. So altruism is when one helps the other at a cost for itself. So an example of this is ground prairie dogs or something, like prairie dogs. So inclusive fitness, I don't fully remember this actually. I don't think it included this in the AI response. So inclusive fitness. Okay, so inclusive fitness is made up of direct and indirect reproductive success. So direct reproductive success is yourself. Like it's the chance of like the success of yourself reproducing, and then indirect is like your relatives reproducing. Um, yeah, so by helping relatives survive. Yeah, so if you like through indirect reproductive success, if you help your relatives survive, then your genes can still be passed on because you're like related to them. So that's like kind of why they do that. There's also kin selection, which is when closely related individuals will try and help each other. It increases with more closely relatedness. Like you're gonna help your brother more than your close cousin. Reciprocal altruism is outside of like an unrelated, maybe even like it's an unrelated individual, and you're just kind of hoping that they'll help you in the future. So this is literally like the plot of like all child things, because like they think they're gonna help them back, but it's like psych, we're not gonna help you. Like Toy Story 3. So what is the difference between monogamy and polygamy? So monogamy is like you mate with one and then you're set, right? Then polygamy is like one will mate with multiple others. So polygyny, I believe, is when one male mates multiple females. Polygyny is when one mate mates with multiple females, like lions. Polyandry is when one female goes for multiple males, like bees. Polygandry is when multiple females and multiple males, they just all have like a freaking kid party, bro. Like, I don't know. Yeah, okay, so mate choice copying it's like Pete Davidson. Funny thing was that there was a question in the questions bank about Pete Davidson, and the answer was mate choice copying. But the reason for this is like so let's say there's like a male, right? And many females want him, kind of. So okay, so the normal way it would work is like the most attractive male would attract the females, right? But sometimes a less attractive male will attract a female, and then more females will try going for that male because they think that that male is the best one because others are going for it. So it's kind of like just like a followers effect, you know. It can be overpowered though. If there's like a super attractive male, then you know some females will just be deterred from going for the common one and just go for the more attractive one. But it's mainly just following that main reason is like you could save energy for selecting a mate if you know that others already selected it, so you don't really care too much because it's like you already have an idea that that's like that it's like a good male. So just it indicates that the male is highly like desirable, and then you don't have to spend too much time looking for it. So yeah, game theory is kind of just like having different strategies of living. It kind of like changes, like some like one game move will have like it's like rock paper scissors, like you have three different options, and like an example of this is like some lizard thing, side blush lizards, I remember. It's like there's three different types, and each one will have a higher population at one time, and it'll go down with the other one going up. So it's like they're all in rotation basically. So semi-parity and pseudo-parity. So semi-parity is when you're basically like preparing to have one big batch of kids or offspring. So you're gonna release so much offspring in one go, and then you're gonna die. So how do I remember this? Semi-parity, cemetery, you die. Heteroparity is like you have multiple offspring, but you have like a limited amount of offspring each time. So it's kind of like like humans. So similarity will usually happen in unfavorable conditions. Interparity will happen mainly in more favorable conditions. So foraging, that's kind of like looking for food, storing food. The goal is just to reduce the energy waste, like not really like decrease the amount of energy you spend and increase the amount of food that you have. So it's just like how you search for food, how you recognize it and capture food. So search images, okay, I don't really know this one. Search images, those work, they're just like, they're like specific things that you're looking for in what you're trying to forage. Like you have like a specific idea in mind on what you're looking for. So you don't start looking at every single thing. Like you know what to look for, like what is food. So then you just go for the things that are food rather than wasting your time on other things. So over time, you're going to become more and more specific so that you can reduce the energy wasted on other things. So you're just going to filter out irrelevant information. So now formations. Formations are mainly used kind of for the overall protection, just, strength in numbers kind of thing. So there's like a technical way they said it. It said it's increased chance of survival while decreasing risk and energy spent. So there's 3 types of formations. Let me close my eyes. Deception. Okay. Okay, there's concealment, vigilance, and defense. Okay, let me close my eyes now. Defense, vigilance, concealment. Okay, nope. Okay, so there's vigilant. Okay, let me just think about this like realistically. So there's defense, vigilance, and concealment. Vigilance, concealment, defense. So let's talk about each one. Concealment, there's kind of 3 categories we can go into: group size, dilution, confusing visual signals. So group size, having a bigger group size will it'll make it harder to go for one, because there's so many. It's like kind of overstimulating. It's like what am I even looking, like what do I even go for, what I'm saying? It's like you don't know which to go for. Dilution is like if you have 3 people, right, there's a 1 in 3 chance that one of them dies. But if you have 300, there's a 1 in 300. So you're basically reducing the single person chance. Does it really make sense? Like you're still losing a person, but I guess like the overall effect on the population or the formation would not be that bad. Confusing visual signs, this is like shown in fish. If you have so many fish, you could like just make weird looking things and it'll like mess things up. And it'll just confuse the predator. Vigilance is basically shift work, like security guards. Like when one's resting, the other can check and be alert, and then they can take breaks and like rotate. So someone's able to rest, someone's able to watch. You have more alertness. You're able to like stay like have an eye on everything more often. And then defense is like if you get onto like defense is like you're less likely to get into a fight if you have multiple of them, and like having more of them, you're able to like like make an attack more difficult. Like it's harder for things to happen if you have like strength in numbers basically again. And even if you do get into a fight, having a higher number of individuals, it makes it easier to fight. Then pack formation, so these are all like kind of defensive stuff, but then pack formation like offensive. It's like wolves hunting in packs to freaking like eat, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's all.